Your staff are losing up to 50% of their brain power right now, and you can't even see why. I'm Antoni, and in this video I am going to show you the 4 invisible layers that determine whether an office is truly healthy and exactly what is costing you when you miss them. In 14 years managing commercial cleaning for government facilities and over 100 UK businesses, I see the same mistake again and again. Companies invest heavily in how their offices look, but neglect what actually affects health, productivity, and risk. Today, I am breaking down the 4 layers of a clean office, and I guarantee most workplaces are only doing 2 of them. Because looking clean and being clean are not the same thing. Let's start with layer 1. Floors. Most people think this is just about appearances, but it's actually the first place a visual clean fails. Most cleaning programs start here, and that makes sense. Dirty floors are obvious. They fail the eye test immediately. But here is the problem. Even when a floor looks clean, the method in how you clean the floor makes a massive difference, and most offices are still doing it wrong. Most cleaners still rely on mop and bucket. Mopping works well in small spaces like toilets and small kitchenettes. But in a large open plan office or a big office kitchen, not so much. And here is what's actually happening. By the time you're halfway through, you're not cleaning. You're redistributing contaminated water across hundreds of square feet. And that floor stays wet for 6 minutes or more, creating a slip hazard. Unfortunately, we have seen liability claims from floors that look dry but weren't. Compare that to a scrubber dryer. It uses separate tanks for clean and dirty water, and the floors are completely dry in 30 seconds. That's not just convenience, that's effective hygiene and operational efficiency. Carpets are even trickier. A standard vacuum only picks up surface level dirt, but deep in the fibers you've got a buildup of bacterial allergens and embedded soil that a hoover just simply cannot reach. And this is the key distinction. Hoovering is maintenance. Extraction is a hygiene. If you aren't doing a deep extraction clean every 6 to 12 months, the carpet is essentially a sponge that started hoarding every bit of bacteria and dust your team is trying to avoid in the first place. A quick warning: if your vacuum doesn't have a HEPA filter, you are actually making things worse, capturing large particles but launching microscopic allergens straight back into the air your team breathes. This is where robotic vacuums actually shine. They don't replace cleaners, but they deliver something manual cleaning can't: a perfect consistency. Same routine, same HEPA filtration every single night. That frees up your staff to focus on the skilled, detailed work. And most offices stop here, which is where the real problems begin. Layer 2, surfaces. This is where most offices are wasting money on something I am going to call the spray and wipe illusion. I walked into a stunning, newly refurbished office last year. Beautiful space, impressive fit out, but when I asked about their cleaning program, this is what I found. Someone coming in 3 times a week with a spray bottle and a cloth. Spray the desk, wipe it down, move on. The manager was confident. Well, they disinfect everything, he said. But here is what he didn't realize. The desks looked smeary and dull, not dirty exactly, just off. And that's because his cleaner was using disinfectant as if it were a cleaning product. But disinfectant isn't designed to remove dirt. It's designed to kill bacteria on an already clean surface. So they weren't actually cleaning and they weren't actually disinfecting either. This is the rule most people miss. You have to clean first, then disinfect. Disinfectant only works on a clean surface. If you're trying to use it as a cleaner, you are doing neither jobs properly. The disinfection illusion. Standard disinfectants protect for seconds. The moment the next person touches that keyboard, the tablet screen, the mouse, they contaminated it again. You are not preventing infection, you are just chasing it. The golden rule. Plus, there is a rule most cleaners miss. You cannot disinfect dirt. If a surface isn't properly cleaned first, disinfector never ever reaches the bacteria. High-touch reality. You might look at your desk and think it looks fine, but studies show that an average office keyboard carries more bacteria than a toilet seat. To prove it, I use an ATP meter. It measures microbial matter that human eye can't see. It looks clean, but let me show you something. Under 50 is clean. 50 to 100 needs a bit of attention. Over 100 is a high contamination in kitchens. It looks spotless, but scientifically, it's a contamination hotspot, a transfer point for bacteria throughout the building. This is exactly how surface level cleaning turns into a wave of sick days. But please don't get me wrong, ATP meters aren't perfect, but they prove one thing clearly. What you see and what's actually there are definitely not the same. But even if you fixed every surface in this room, your team is still at risk from one place everyone ignores. Layer 3. Walls and ceilings. Most managers, to be honest, never audit their walls, but if you look at a kitchen sink or a food waste bin, you're looking at a bacterial splash zone. Since the 2025 Simple Recycling Regulation came in force, these zones have become even bigger hygiene risk, and most cleaners wipe around them, not away. And here you can check our Simple Recycling video. But now, stop! Look at your ceiling vents. They're filthy. Most of the time, they're loaded with dust. And every time your HVAC runs, that dust goes straight back into the air that your team breathes. Hoovering the floors, cleaning the walls, dusting around the office, and cleaning the vents tackles air quality at the source. But there is still one hidden factor that's draining your team's energy every single day. Layer 4, air quality. To find that, we have to look at layer 4, the one that ties everything together, air quality. This is the hidden cause of the lost focus and staff burnouts that everyone misses. Poor ventilation allows CO2 to build up. When levels hit around 1,400 parts per million or ppm, cognitive performance drops by up to 50%. Half your team's ability to think clearly gone because the air is stale. This happens consistently in offices. CO2 build up throughout the day, particularly in meeting rooms and open plan spaces with poor ventilation. By mid-afternoon, when levels peak, your team isn't tired from lunch or unmotivated. Their brains are literally being deprived of oxygen. And the worst part, they can't feel it happening. They just know they can't concentrate. And this has been discussed widely, including on Diary of a CEO, because the evidence is now undeniable. Stephen Bartlett monitors CO2 levels during every podcast recording because he knows that when levels climb above 1000 ppm, performance drops. If someone running a billion stream podcast monitors air quality that closely, shouldn't you be doing the same for your team? In some of the buildings we look after, we use a real-time sensor system like Proximetrics to monitor CO2 continuously. It tells you exactly when air quality starts to affect performance, so you can ventilate or adjust airflow before people feel tired or lose focus. It turns air quality from guesswork into data. CO2 isn't the only problem. VOCs from conventional cleaning chemicals and air fresheners also pollute indoor air. When you walk into an office on a Monday morning and smell that fresh lemon or pine scent, that's not cleanliness, that is VOCs off-gassing into the air. You're smelling chemicals and your team is breathing them all day. A long-term study from the University of Bergen found that professional cleaners exposed to conventional chemicals experienced lung decline, equivalent to smoking 20 cigarettes a day. Now, cleaners are exposed for hours daily, but the principle applies to your office. After cleaning happens overnight, those chemicals linger. Your team walks in and breathes them. Low VOC sustainable products clean just as well without poisoning the indoor air. At the end of the day, a clean office isn't a luxury, and it's not just about what you see, it is a baseline for your team to actually function. If you're only cleaning for the eye test, you're essentially asking your staff to perform in a space that's working against them. I have seen it for 14 years. You can have the best staff in the world, but if they're breathing stale air and sitting at contaminated desk, they're never going to be able to perform at their best. So don't just take your cleaner's word for it. Audit your space, check the vents, review the data, and stop settling for it looks clean. Because honestly, if it only looks good on the surface, it's already failing your business. And that isn't healthy and it isn't clean. Floors, surfaces, walls, air. Miss one of them and the whole system fails. If you manage a building, audit all 4. If you own a business, find out which layer your provider actually covers. You can't fix what you can't see. So I have built the 4 layers office audit, the exact checklist I use when assessing commercial spaces. Link in the description. Walk through your facility and find out how clean your office actually is. Stop guessing about your team's health. Start using the data. Drop a comment with your biggest cleaning challenge and I will do my best to help. I am Antoni from Drift. Subscribe for more practical content like this every week. Stay clean and stay smart. See you in the next one.